graveyard, as if avoiding a predator's den. Diplomats spoke in hushed tones of containing Terran resurgence, though none dared send fleets again. Because the humans had not yet spoken. Their armada hung silent, engines glowing, weapons primed, but they had not made a single demand, not a single word of diplomacy. Only one haunting transmission still pulsed across the stars. Awaiting orders. No one knew who would give them. No one knew if someone, somewhere, still carried the blood of Earth, ready to reclaim command. But every empire understood one truth. Humanity did not vanish. Humanity waited. And when the galaxy mocked their grave, the grave began to move. The silence was broken. The storm was awake. And the stars themselves held their breath. For millennia, the galaxy spoke of humanity only in the past tense. Their name was reduced to a whisper, their history filed away under the category of extinction. To most, Earth was nothing but a burned-out rock orbiting a middling sun, a scar of a species that rose too fast, fought too fiercely, and died too violently. The grand councils of the galaxy remembered them not with fear but with ridicule. The younger empires studied ancient fragments of Terran war doctrine and laughed at its bluntness. Humans were reckless, they said, too obsessed with firepower and stubborn honor. No subtlety, no grace. Their demise was proof of their folly. Centuries passed, and the records of Earth grew dusty in alien archives. The stars that once trembled beneath Terran fleets now burned quietly, free of their shadow. If humans had once stormed across the void like wildfire, the galaxy convinced itself the fire had gone cold forever. Or so they believed. Whispers from the graveyard. The first rumors came from scavengers, the lowest rung of galactic society. Drifting far from lawful space, they returned with stories of a graveyard around a forgotten system near Sol. Broken hulks, skeletal ship frames, shattered hulls drifting in endless formation. A floating mausoleum of war, the scavengers called it. The councils scoffed. Of course humanity left wreckage. Their wars always ended in ruin. But then came signals. Not the faint electromagnetic ghosts of dead machinery, but structured bursts, rhythmic, coordinated, like a heartbeat echoing from the void. Exploratory vessels dispatched to the region reported distortions, vast metallic shadows arrayed in perfect formation, thousands of kilometers across. Some swore the ships weren't drifting randomly, but angled deliberately, as though waiting. The admirals dismissed it. Dead ships do not think, do not move. Yet unease crept into every discussion, for deep in the ruins something stirred. The graveyard awakens. It began with a flicker. A derelict cruiser cold for 500,000 years lit its running lights, not once, not twice, but in sequence, 3 bursts of white, a Terran naval code older than most living civilizations. Then another ship answered. Engines that had not burned in ages roared to life, bathing the darkness in ghostly blue flame. Vast battleships, scarred with the wounds of forgotten wars, shifted on thrusters as if roused from slumber. The graveyard was no ruin. It was a fleet, dormant, patient, preserved. Alien surveyors panicked. Their ships transmitted warnings across the stars, frantic cries that the humans endure. They were ignored until the first Terran flagship activated its comms. Its voice was no language spoken by the modern galaxy, but its code was unmistakable, fleet online, systems green, awaiting orders. The graveyard had not been abandoned, it had been waiting. Shadows of old war. When news spread, laughter died. Archival scholars tore through forgotten records. They found hints, scattered in ancient Terran doctrine. We do not discard weapons, we store storms until they are needed. Panic rippled through the younger empires. The ships awakening in that system were not relics. They were terrors built in an age when humanity fought wars of extinction across 1,000 worlds. Their hulls were plated in alloys that modern engineers could barely replicate. Their weapons, though archaic, pulsed with destructive power far beyond contemporary fleets. The galaxy had mocked the graveyard. Now the graveyard moved. Vessels slid into formation with mechanical precision. Dreadnoughts aligned. Carriers opened their hangar bays. Cruisers swept across the void like wolves unchained. It was as if the dead had answered some unseen signal, rising not as ruins, but as warriors. The panic of the living. Admirals scrambled to mount defenses. Fleets from across the sectors converged on the region, forming walls of ships armed with the most advanced weapons the galaxy could muster. Politicians declared they would contain the malfunctioning ruins and ensure the safety of the stars. But when they arrived, they did not find derelicts stumbling aimlessly. They found an armada. Human warships, their hulls blackened but their engines steady, maneuvered with flawless discipline. Formations centuries old cut through space as if no time had passed. Each move was sharp, deliberate, rehearsed. Alien fleets attempted to probe their perimeter. The Terran ships responded not with fire but with silence, tracking targets, locking weapons, and holding position. A predator's patience, waiting for the prey to twitch. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy remembered what it meant to be prey. When the dead roared, it began with a single command ship. Its ancient AI broadcast a pulse across the void, and the graveyard obeyed. Engines ignited in unison, a thunderous choir of flame streaking against the dark. The fleet advanced. Alien admirals shouted orders, defenses bristled, but the humans moved first. Torpedoes, sleek and terrible, cut across the stars. Energy beams lanced through shields as if they were mist. Human cruisers carved through opponents with surgical strikes, their targeting systems centuries ahead of their time. Where alien fleets relied on centralized command, the Terran warships fought as a hive of veterans. Every ship an autonomous predator, every maneuver honed from wars that had killed empires. One by one, alien lines collapsed. Modern technology faltered against human brutality. Shield matrices shattered under concentrated kinetic fire. Carriers were gutted by squadrons of drones launched from Terran hangars, machines still deadly after an age of silence. The galaxy, so certain of humanity's extinction, now faced the truth. The dead had never left. They had been sharpening their claws in the dark. The aftermath of awakening. The battles ended quickly, not because the humans destroyed everything, but because they did not need to. They fought not to annihilate, but to remind. Alien fleets withdrew in terror, leaving the system burning with the echoes of war. The Terran armada did not pursue. Instead, the graveyard ships returned to formation, silent once more, engines humming like the growl of a beast unwilling to sleep. Across the galaxy, fear spread like wildfire. In every council chamber, voices whispered, "If this is what they left behind, what else waits in the dark?" For if humans preserved fleets for 500,000 years, perhaps they preserved more. Hidden arsenals buried on moons, silent fortresses orbiting dead stars, armies in cryosleep, worlds bristling with weapons. The galaxy realized the terrible truth. Humans do not die as others do. They seed the future with storms, patient as time itself, waiting for the day they are needed. The graveyard's legacy. From that day, the galaxy no longer mocked the ruins. Where once they spoke of Earth with ridicule, now they spoke only in hushed tones. Scouts refused to enter Terran space. Admirals rewrote their doctrines, adapting desperately to counter tactics 500,000 years old. Scholars scoured archives for every scrap of Terran knowledge, desperate to understand the minds that had forged such eternal war machines. But the greatest terror was not what they knew, it was what they did not. For the graveyard had shown only a fragment of its strength. Thousands of ships still slept in the dark, their engines cold, their guns silent. The galaxy asked itself a single question that no one dared answer. If humanity preserved this, what else waits to awaken? Epilogue: The silence speaks. In the void, the Terran fleet drifted once more. Lights dimmed. Engines cooled. To the untrained eye, they seemed derelict again, drifting corpses of a forgotten war. But the galaxy knew better. The graveyard was not dead, it was listening. And in the silence between stars, the galaxy trembled, because silence, they now understood, is never empty. Sometimes it is the breath before the storm,